Fruits Basket is your run-of-the-mill shoujo anime. There's a lovable female lead, two male characters that are incredibly shippable, but most importantly, like any good shoujo, there is a colorful cast of very traumatized characters. That's right, legend has it that when Fruits Basket fans want to read something more lighthearted, they turn to the likes of Fire Punch and Berserk. Okay, all right. Hi, hello, my name is Hobikage, and I am on a mission to reignite a conversation about Fruits Basket because I think sometimes we forget how, at its core, Fruits Basket is a story about trauma and abuse. Massive disclaimer. This is my opinion, my own thoughts on the show. Yes, the show specifically, because I want to talk about the thing that most people have had access to. Also, in this video, we're going to touch on a lot of sensitive topics, so consider this the trigger warning for this video. Fruits Basket is a story that tackles relationship dynamics and power distance. It goes on to cover topics like physical, mental, emotional, and sexual abuse. And all of these themes are wrapped up and delivered to us, the audience, via these multifaceted, complex characters that make up the Zodiac. Before we can even get into the trauma, let's talk about power distance. According to Google, power distance is the perceived degree of inequality among people. In higher power distance societies, the quote superiors, or those in power, perceive themselves and are also perceived by others to be at a higher power level. They have a greater degree of control over others. An example of a high power distance society would be South Korea. In South Korea, unless someone is born in the same calendar year as you, they are not your friend. They would receive a different honorific title. When someone is placed higher in society than you are, that gives them power over you. To bring it back to America, because most people that watch me are from America and are also not subscribed to me. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. A boss has more power than an employee. A boss controls your paycheck. They have the ability to fire you whenever they please. There is power distance in the relationship. And that's why people don't like it when employers date their employees. This concept of power distance extends to every relationship. Think of a relationship that gives you the ick. Is there power distance? Probably. For example, a 18-year-old may not be a legal minor anymore, but we all think it's creepy when an 18-year-old is with a 27-year-old. Y'all's brains are in two different types of development stages right now. You do not need to be doing that. We all think it's weird. And this all boils down to the inequality between two different peoples, aka the power distance. Now take this knowledge of power distance and consent and we're going to apply it to Shigure Soma. I did not know Shigure got a lot of hate by the Fruits Basket fan base. That was news to me. But the truth is, to understand Fruits Basket is to understand Shigure. And honestly, to understand Shigure, you have to understand the curse. Akito isn't metaphorically their god who they choose to be subservient to. Akito is literally their god who they have to follow. Because Akito has the power to make the Zodiac members do whatever she wills, the Zodiac members do not have the ability to give consent. They do not have the ability to make their own free choices because Akito has more power than they do. Now, how does Shigure play into this? I think sometimes in anime, we don't look at adult characters as victims because they're an adult. Their brain is fully developed. They should know better. But Shigure is a victim. He was told, just like all the other Zodiac members from a very young age, that he was to live, breathe, and die for whoever the god figure was. And when Akito was literally conceived, he was enthralled, drawn to her by some supernatural power. His life has never been his own. Immediately, just knowing what we know now, I feel like we can push aside this concept of him being this horrible bad guy because though his actions may be morally gray, there's a valid reason for them. But Hobikage, what about the age gap between him and Akito? If I can find the TikTok comment, I will put it on screen. But my thoughts on this age gap are very, very simple. He was a kid. It wasn't this sexual attraction that he felt to the literal fetus the second she was conceived. I think, just like all the other Zodiac members, Shigure was drawn to the god figure. It wasn't a sexual attraction. It wasn't even a romantic attraction. It was an attraction. Now, through trauma, through abuse, through physical, psychological torment, I think that he has developed an unnatural attraction to losers.
You having an unnatural allegiance to losers is not like you.
Or a type of Stockholm syndrome where he is infatuated and he wants her for himself. Because I guess you could say he is a loyal dog. That could be his biggest sin. And like a pitiful loyal dog, even when freed, he would stay by his master's side. Before going too deep into Shigure and Akito's dynamic, I am aware that on several occasions he is gleefully singing about meeting up with high school girls. However, I think this is more so a reflection of Japan and their sense of humor than it is Shigure's character. Like I said earlier in this video, Fruits Basket is a story of trauma and abuse, and where there is abuse, there must be an abuser. In terms of fiction, there is one thing I am extremely anal about, and that is a victim being labeled a victim. I think it is very important when consuming media of all types to be able to call out certain things. If we don't recognize victims in fiction, then it makes me wonder, are we able to recognize them in real life? That being said, screw you, Akito. I'm actively preying on your downfall. Akito's trauma really starts off strong with the moment she's born and is forced to present as a man. To force your child to hide and to play a role is a different level of psychological abuse and maybe even torment that I'm not qualified to talk about. Having to present as a man is probably how Akito learned to use gender and sexuality as a way to abuse and manipulate the older members of the Zodiac. When it comes to the younger half of the Zodiac members, Akito probably learned that she was older and smarter and didn't have to use this method, but I wonder how long it took her to learn that. How long was Yuki locked away before Akito changed tactics? Obviously, Akito is very messed up, and Shigure, in his delusion and dog-like loyalty, wants to simultaneously break away from her and also make it possible for him to be with her. And so he has to speak her language. He has to speak her language of manipulation. And so he does what he knows will break her and sleeps with her mom.
Hi guys, so da-da-da-da. Yes, I did that. And you would do it too for a check. I was an employee. And I was going to get employee of the month. And that's on period.
In my comment section on TikTok, a lot of people had issue with this because it's kind of horrible. Like, don't sleep with people's moms. That's wrong. I just want to remind y'all of power distance, though. I'm sitting here and I'm just like that is your little nephew, your proverbial nephew or whatever. I know the whole family is like super extended, but I'm like, that's weird on the mom's part. That was my first impression when I found out about that. But I mean, to each their own. The thing is, when it comes to Fruits Basket, just because something is included in the story does not inherently mean it's a good thing. Toru Honda's mom was a high schooler and her dad was, I believe, the substitute teacher. Their quote-unquote origin story or love story was not meant to be inspirational or beautiful. I think it was a tragedy that was painted as a typical romance to really drive home the sadness of it all. And so Toru Honda's mom, being a victim of grooming, was not in the right mental space to be a widow and a mother, all before the age of, 25? Throughout the series, we see young Toru have to pick up a lot of responsibilities. She is always cooking for her mom, and it seems like she's home alone quite often. That's not normal. She shouldn't be home alone, and she shouldn't have to learn how to cook that well from a really young age. That's a parent's responsibility. I think my heart really goes out for young Toru. Okay, wow, I'm holding back tears. All of the issues in Fruits Basket that come up more or less stem back to one core concept, and that is acceptance. The curse is an issue because people won't accept them. Kyo, being the cat, is not accepted by the rest of the family because the cat turns into like a literal demon from hell, which is the most... I was just shocked when I first saw that. I think it actually gave me nightmares.
Ugh. Brother, ugh. What's that?
Toru Honda acts as a catalyst for acceptance. With zero hesitation, no matter who she meets, she opens up her heart and accepts them. She also teaches the next steps after acceptance, which is forgiveness and moving forward. Me personally, I would never forgive Akito because why did you make everything so difficult? Please be so serious. But then again, I'm not Toru. I'm not the main character in the shoujo. I'm just a girl with a mic. If you like this video, don't forget to like the video and feel free to subscribe, especially if you watch the whole video. Like, come on, Pookie. You watched the whole video, just stick around for the next one. To stay up to date on everything, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and join my Discord server with the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I don't know how to end this video, so just remember guys, everyone has a plum in their back.